Hello, for today's video is all about classification of inorganic compounds. Inorganic compound, it is a substance that does not contain both carbon and hydrogen. And this inorganic compound can be classified as base, acid, salt, and oxide. Acid, it is a compound that dissolves in water and generate hydrogen ions or H+ ions. Base, it is a type of substance or compound that produces hydroxyl ions when kept in water. Salt, these are substances obtained as a result of the reaction between an acid and a base. And lastly, when we say oxide, it is a compound which consists of one oxygen atom called oxides. Now, the question here is, when can we say that the given chemical compound is an example of acid, base, oxide, or salt? For us to answer that question, let's familiarize these keywords or clue of each inorganic compound. We have here acid, base, oxide, and salt. Abus, the mnemonics. Let's talk about acid compound first. An acid compound, there is a presence of hydrogen or H, the symbol of hydrogen. And take note, hydrogen comes first always in the chemical formula or in the chemical name. We have here examples: hydrogen borate and hydrogen iodate. Again, when we say acid compound, na present si hydrogen of course, and always jud siya mag-una sa atong chemical name or chemical formula. This time, let's talk about bases. We can say that the given compound is a base if there is a presence of OH, and OH is hydroxide. Example, we have here calcium hydroxide and BiOH3, that is bismuth hydroxide. Okay, take note, this element symbol and element name, present sila. If the given is chemical formula, there is a presence of H if acid siya, and there is a presence of OH if base siya. And for the oxide, for us to identify that the given compound is an example of oxide, for if the given is chemical formula, there is a presence of letter O or symbol O, and that is, if the given is chemical name, there is a presence of the word oxide. Example, sulfur monoxide. And we have here also Al2O3, and that is aluminum oxide. Careful tano sa compound under oxide kay for ions or anions, specifically for anions, daghan kaayong mga polyatomic ions nga naay symbol nga letter O. Mostly dira ta ma-confuse. Now, take note, if it's ionic compound, the symbol for oxide is O charge 2 negative. Kay daghan jud kaayong naay oxygen, presence of oxygen sa anions. Now, lastly, we could say that the given inorganic compound is a salt if dili nato siya ma-associate sa tulo. Dili nato ma-associate as acid, base, or oxide. Again, an inorganic compound is an example of salt if the given compound is not a base, not an acid, or not an oxide. Simple as that. Okay, let's recall. We could say that a given compound, inorganic compound, is an acid if there is a presence of H or hydrogen, and hydrogen always comes first in the chemical formula or chemical name. For the base, there is a presence of OH for chemical name hydroxide. And for the oxide, there is a presence of symbol letter O. And careful for the ionic compound because again, ang anion na ay daghang oxygen. So, take note for anion, for ionic compound, the symbol should be O charged to negative. And for the chemical name, easy to identify because naa yung word nga oxide. And if wala sa tulo, that means the given inorganic compound is a salt. Let's have examples. Okay, classify the following inorganic compounds into acid, base, oxide, or salt. Write acid, base, oxide, or salt. And also classify if the given compounds according to their bond formation. Write ionic or covalent compound. We have here first example, that is ferric oxide. So, ferric oxide is an example of oxide that is O2 or O charged to negative, and this is an example of ionic compound. Second example, KMNO4, that is potassium manganate. Potassium manganate, walay oxide, walay hydrogen, and walay OH. Therefore, this is an example of salt. And this is under ionic bonding. Next, for third example, HCl, that is hydrogen heptachloride. There is a presence of hydrogen and H comes first in the chemical formula, therefore acid siya. And that is covalent. No, careful, not a prefixes, so therefore covalent bonding or compound. And for the fourth example, we have lithium hydroxide. There is a presence of hydroxide, OH, so therefore that is an example of base, and it's an ionic compound. Next example, nitrogen disulfide. So we have the prefix di, therefore wala sa tulo, no, walay hydrogen, walay OH, walay oxygen, therefore salt siya. And obviously this is covalent compound kay non-metals porous. And for the last example, we have selenium trioxide. There is a presence of oxide. So therefore, oxide siya nga inorganic compound. And this is covalent compound. Both are non-metals. And that ends our lesson for today.